Hey, what's going on, everybody? From First We Feast, I'm Maria Perez, and you're watching Hot Ones, the show with hot questions and even hotter wings. Today, we're joined by Christian Aleman, one of the up and coming movie producers who just so happened to have a huge role in a brand new horror movie called Turn Off the Flash.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being on the show today.
Of course.
All right, let's dig into our first wing, which has about 10,000 Scoville units.
Let's do it.
Cheers.
Pretty good. Not spicy.
A little kick. So, how does your product use or challenge conventions?
Well, for starters, a couple months ago, one of our assignments in class was going into looking at the genres that we wanted to work with, and overall just researching and watching a lot of film openings that were in the genre. So I would say that my film follows conventions of the slasher horror / supernatural horror genre in many ways, more slasher horror. But some of the common conventions that we followed were, of course, I would say, is through the stupid teen trope, as both of our characters are sort of teenagers, young adults. And my character, especially Brandon, he makes a lot of stupid decisions throughout the 2 minutes. And, overall just things that somebody with, fully developed brain, you could say, wouldn't do. For example, like when he hears the spooky noises, the rustling through the leaves, whatever it be, he just runs after the noise without thinking. And, that's something a stupid teen would do when they're trying to be a YouTuber, chase followers type of thing. And so that's one of the conventions that I would say we followed. And along with that, another convention that I would say that we actually dug pretty deep into was like the different use of shots that we did. So for starters, we had researched a lot of slasher horror in the Halloween time. And so one of the movies that we really took inspiration with, well, not really one of the movies, because a lot of movies did it during the era, but I would say Halloween and Friday the 13th, the two first ones, both of them begin with a POV shot of the killer before he does what he's trying to do. And so we really liked that idea, and we wanted to sort of implement it into our own. Because, for example, we took more inspiration from Friday the 13th, as in the film opening, we see from the killer's perspective a frame within a frame of the two wooden pillars as she's watching the camp counselors unknowingly. And so we wanted to kind of mirror that, especially that we knew we were going to be filming at some sort of a forest location. So in our movie, we actually mirrored the same POV shot, but instead of using the frame within a frame of the wooden cupboards, we instead used branches, but we're still trying to, adding that feeling of the YouTubers are being watched without them knowing. And along with that, we also took a lot of inspiration from another horror movie, The Blair Witch Project, which is a supernatural horror movie. And we really liked the idea of found footage, lost footage aspect, handheld, POV. And so we really enjoyed that, especially with us knowing that we wanted to go in sort of a YouTube creation, lost footage kind of vibe. And so we followed that, and we decided to use a lot of POV shots. And when it came to our editing, we added a lot of glitchy transitions, filters, just different things to make and, enhance that feeling that you're watching lost footage of two YouTubers who, something happened to them in a forest. You watch the movie, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And, overall, I think that those were some of the more common ways that we followed some common conventions. But when it came to challenging them, I would say that we also challenged them in some ways, but more followed them. But I would say the main way we challenged them is, of course, in our first, so I'd say about 30 seconds. Like, for example, in that shot of the POV shot, we filmed that all throughout daylight, which is something that doesn't typically happen during horror movies, as they always take place during the night. But we just thought it would look way better because we wanted to have sort of a feeling that they've been there for a while, exploring for a while. So we sort of made that feel, like that. Like, we wanted to have a daylight shot and then, towards the end of the movie being the dark night. So, but the daylight POV shot is something that doesn't typically happen in horror movies, but we thought it would really work for ours.
All right, so let's get into our next wing.
So how spicy is this one?
It's about 100,000 Scoville units.
What?
Yeah, but let's do it.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my God.
How does your movie represent social groups or issues?
So I would say that my movie represents social groups or issues in a multitude of ways. But I would say that the one that we tried to represent the hardest is like YouTubers and influencers in general, and just kind of the lengths that they're willing to go nowadays. So with our characters, Brandon and Todd, the two YouTubers in the movie, we were able to, we wanted to use them to sort of represent and symbolize like the YouTubers that we have nowadays who are willing to do anything when it comes to, like money, viewers, followers, that type of thing. So throughout our movie, we see Brandon make a lot of stupid decisions, like I said before. He chases things because he's trying to get the viral view. I mean, even the climax of the movie, when they get caught by, go watch the movie, it even comes down to Brandon going in for a better thumbnail, which leads to them getting chased. And something like that, we wanted to represent sort of like the YouTuber culture, I guess you could say. And like in the sense that like, they're willing to do so much for views. And, we kind of wanted to like, kind of sort of be meta on that in terms of the fact that, like we were trying to sort of commentate on how that's not really like healthy for people to just be focused on only viewers and getting viewers and followers, money, subscribers, that type of thing. So we kind of wanted to mock some of those famous YouTubers out there, and we were able to try to make some references to some famous YouTubers. But beyond that, I think that we also use representation to represent not only what they are, which is YouTubers, but what they really are in that they're teens. So our movie was pretty, set on being intended for an audience of teenagers and that age group. So we wanted to be able to have our characters be a little relatable. And so when it came to the representation of the characters, from the mise-en-scène to some of the dialogue that we have, we want to make it feel a little more relatable. So for example, my character Todd, we chose to have him wear Air Force Ones, which is a shoe that almost every kid owns a pair of these days. And we also wanted him to have a lot of goofy dialogue in which that he has sort of a potty mouth, and he likes to say cuss words almost every other line, which is something that a lot of kids that are coming of age or teenagers that are pretty set in stone, that's something they do. They like to use curse words and things like that. And along with that, we also wanted to have both of them to have sort of a goofy aspect. So Todd, for example, he talks like how a YouTuber would talk. Brandon talks how a YouTuber would talk in sort of a goofy, unserious way that they don't really take anything in life serious. And along with that, we were also able to represent them through their mise-en-scène, as I had said before, in their costumes. So like, for example, Todd is wearing a sports jersey and a puffer jacket when he's going into adventure into a dangerous forest, which is something that, it's pretty goofy. Like, why would you do that? And my character Brandon, throughout the movie, he brings up his shark bag, which is like a goofy little bag that we thought would add to the character's character and sort of represent what it means to be an unserious young adult, in that he's just trying to look cool for the camera, and he's trying to make sure that his viewers are buying it because it's his merch at the end of the day. That's why he promotes it in the beginning of the video. And so overall, I think that we did a pretty good job at representing what we wanted to.